You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Hey, this is Nika Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
Yo, this is Terrence Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And welcome to the Snob OS show, the show for Apple snobs where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, post Turkey Day. We hope that you all had a great time celebrating with your loved ones and ate lots of good food, but we are back to kick off the last month of 2024. And again, for those of you who have been with us this whole time, new listeners, definitely thanks. And, you know, for the continued support and listening to the show. We have a Patreon members who we lovingly call the Snobbists, and you can head on over to patreon.com/snobawestcast, and there you can sign up to become a Patreon. And once you become a Patreon, you can watch the live show there and also get exclusive content. So what we're going to do is go ahead and kick it off with the Lowdown, where we talk all things Apple. So I saw this particular story because when we talked last week about our Black Friday buys, I believe you mentioned that you were interested in picking up a Roomba. And back in at WWDC when iOS 18 was announced, they were like, hey, HomeKit is now going to support robot vacuum cleaners. And I was like, oh, this would be, you know, perfectly in line with what you're talking about for picking up for Black Friday. Well, not so much. Apple has delayed this implementation for robot cleaners, which sucks because it was supposed to come out in iOS 18. And we've seen plenty of delays with features that we were expecting for iOS 18. I believe we were supposed to get 18.2 this week. Doesn't look like that's happening. Maybe next week. Don't know. They said so, but then now it's kind of like, we're quiet on that front. We're not talking about that. But yeah, so it was one of those things where they had already a built-in partner with Roborock, who was ready to say, hey, we're going to be one of the first ones that have this HomeKit implementation for our robot vacuum cleaners. And all of it is kind of on hold. And for this particular integration with the Roomba, I think it's something called iRobot or something like that. It was supposed to work on Matter 1.2. And we've talked about before how Matter is supposed to be this all-encompassing across multiple ecosystems that allow smart home integrations. And now it's delayed, they say, until early December 2025. Early 2025. I don't know what early means. It's very subjective, and maybe they left it that way because they were like, we don't know. Maybe not.
So I think people have been spoiled, right? When WWDC came out and they announced all of these new things for the upcoming software, Apple Intelligence, all the things, right? Including this robot vacuum support. Apple is very careful to not say coming this year. They say coming in iOS 18, right? We assume that it's going to be ready day one when iOS 18 or whenever the software drops. Again, rightfully so, because in the past, that's what's normally happened. You know, Apple announces the new operating system, and most, if not all, of the software is available day one. In the past, maybe 2 years, there have been some software or features or products that Apple has announced, and they didn't necessarily come out when people assumed they were. So delayed, I don't know if it's the right word. As long as it is announced, specifically this robot vacuum functionality, as long as it comes out and is available on iOS 18, then that's all Apple promised, right? They didn't necessarily say it's going to come out in October. They didn't say it's going to come out in November. They didn't say it's December, January, February, March, April, right? We assume, well, not we assume, it is a good assumption to say all of the features will be available come WWDC, but that is unlike Apple. And I think people are clinging to what Apple is used to doing, not necessarily what they said. Apple didn't say nothing about coming out in 2025, but it's looking to be a trend to where Apple is starting to, I don't know, slack off ain't the right word. Overpromise maybe is a better word, to where they are over promising these features and then having to, rework some things before they are available, before they are made available, which happens to be weeks, if not months after when we expect them to come out.
Yeah, I think Apple has really kind of honestly set us up for the okie doke with all of the excellence that we are used to. And now technology has become even more complex. And, before probably when they set their roadmap or said, hey, we can get this done by XYZ, they were able to deliver that. But now with the new technology, it's Apple, if you think back to the, original iOS up until now, just think of the changes from the first iOS to iOS 18, the growth in the technology from that time. And, before they could say, hey, the iOS is coming out, and when they deliver it, all the stuff is there. But I think as technology gets more complex, it gets more, the features get more, I guess, innovative, or, takes a lot more. And what they used to be able to deliver and the way they used to be able to deliver it has to pivot, has to change, because what we used to expect, we may not be able to depend on that original cadence. And again, it's not just par for course for Apple. I think this is across all ecosystems, because everybody's trying to push so much into these releases of software and hardware. It's just, it's only so much you can do. And we've seen a lot of the layoffs and budget cuts. And I think all of that has something to do with it. And like you said, I think we are spoiled. We're used to them saying, this is what you're getting, and we're expecting to get it day one. And Apple is like, you know what? We said what we said, iOS 18, and we're still releasing stuff for iOS 18. So when you get it, you get it, and, Godspeed. So it's one of those things where had high hopes. And I think a lot of us had high hopes for iOS 18. I know people are still complaining about the Photos app. And it's like, I wish I could downgrade. I don't like this. I don't want this. So it's one of those things where you want it, then you get it, and it's not quite what you want, then you roll it back, or things delayed. So it's one of those things where this is the nature of the beast. This is the climate we're in, especially with technology. So you kind of just have to roll with it, because what's the alternative? Not have it?
Well, people make their voices heard. Maybe Apple will listen and try something different. But if it ain't ready, it ain't ready. It's one thing for it to not be ready and they push it out and we complain. It's a whole nother thing to make sure it's ready first. People are going to complain anyway. So it might as well just wait until it's ready.
Might as well. Because who wants a crappy product just because they got it out when they said they would? I'd rather have a better product. But I did ask, did you get the Roomba that you were looking at?
No, we got a car instead. So that kind of canceled all the family gifts and all the, household items. That kind of took the precedent.
Gotcha.
Now we're still getting stuff for Christmas, but as far as household items, gifts that really don't belong to anybody, we didn't allocate them funds for something else.
They went to a different pot. Next up, I know you were a great fan of this particular Apple feature, the Touch Bar that was built into, I think it was the Butterfly Keyboard Mac. That's been ripped out, and we kind of have like the touch button on the newer Macs to kind of make purchases and do those types of things. But the Touch Bar did a bunch of other stuff as well. But it's been discontinued, has been for a while, but that doesn't stop some Apple loyalists. So via a Kickstarter campaign, there is this new piece of technology that could be coming out called FlexBar that is inspired by the Apple Touch Bar. The creator of the Kickstarter says, the discontinuation of the original Touch Bar didn't mean the concept was flawed. It simply wasn't taken far enough. The potential for a customizable, adaptive interface that could streamline workflows was immense. So what they decided to do was like, hey, we're going to create our own. And essentially, it looks very much similar to the Touch Bar, but it's a very thin, like I said, think of the Touch Bar, but just bring it out into its own device. Has a USB-C connector, has all of the little buttons that you can customize what you want to go into it. It's a little bit different because I think the Touch Bar before, I'm not sure if this Kickstarter doesn't really say, with the previous Touch Bar, say if you did editing, you kind of scroll and do those types of things on this Touch Bar. But it looks like for the Flex Bar, it's a lot of other workflows. And I guess if you program it that way, it could do that. But you see this? Does this spark any interest for you?
No.
Since you were definitely a fan of the Touch Bar.
No, because it is a separate thing. The what I liked about the Touch Bar is it's built in to the Mac. I don't have to carry anything extra. I don't have to plug anything extra up. I don't have to, be concerned about this extra thing. So for that reason, as they say on Shark Tank, for that reason, I am out. But I could see this being not necessarily competition. I could see this being a alternative to the stream decks that people use when they are podcasting, when they're streaming, when they have those built-in buttons to where, like, for instance, I follow some people on like TikTok, and I can tell they're using these things because they've programmed it for applause. They've programmed it for if somebody subscribes to their stream, they hit a button and it does some voice or does something on their stream. If they need to highlight a commenter, like they want to put a commenter's comment on the screen, I'm pretty sure they're using one of those stream decks. And I think a bunch of different companies make them. The most popular one is Elgato. They make this kind of stream deck. It looks like a little box with buttons that you can customize. Razer makes one as well. A couple brands make them, and they're used for live streaming to actually program buttons in, so you don't have to clickety clack on the keyboard or mess around with your mouse. Press this button and it does a thing. I could see this Touch Bar thing being similar to where, if you want to have some scripted automations, or if you want to use it during podcasts or streams to, do something, I can see this being an alternative, not necessarily competition, but I can see this being a less expensive alternative, because I think those stream decks, they are, let me see, I'll look one up, $250 for one with like it looks like about 24 buttons, right? Versus this what they call it, the
Flex Bar.
Flex Bar, it's only $119 per the Kickstarter, and it seems like you get more customizations. Again, I'm not saying it'll work exactly the way the Stream Deck does, but you probably could use it that way.
Yeah, so some of the features of the Flex Bar include, which is very interesting because this was based on Apple's Touch Bar, it's compatible with Mac, Windows, and mobile devices. I think the addition of the mobile devices is interesting. It has a 2K AM OLED display. Of course, I mentioned before, USB-C connectivity, non-slip silicone pads, aluminum build plus an aluminum magnetic stand, and customizable tools to suit your needs. And I think, you may be right. This could be a competitor for the different versions of the streaming decks. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I know you were a huge fan of.
I was a huge fan, definitely a huge fan. But again, when it went away, move on. And I don't think I need to pay, $120 to have this additional thing that I have to be concerned about. But that's just me.
Yeah. Some people seem to be interested, so we'll see if it becomes a thing. The last story I have for the lowdown is that you can now buy Bitcoin with Apple Pay. This was a new integration that was just rolled out this past Monday by Coinbase. If you'll remember back in 2020, Tim Cook was doing an interview with the New York Times. I think it was called Deal Something. It was basically an online conference that Tim Cook went and did this, interview with. And at this conference, he says Apple is, quote, looking at accepting crypto through Apple Pay. And he also mentioned that he himself owns crypto as a part of his portfolio. So it sounds like it was 2021. So 3 years later, it looks like somebody's made good on getting Bitcoin through Apple Pay. I think to me it shows that people, early adopters, people don't say, I don't know what this new fake money thing is, but the popularity of cryptocurrency has definitely skyrocketed, and some of the big tech folks are saying, okay, we'll get on it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it handles transactions fees. I think that the main, in my opinion, one of the main benefits of using crypto is it's not tied to a bank. When you are, or, credit card company, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whomever, right? Discover. Since it's not tied to a credit card company, it's not tied to a bank, you don't have to worry about transaction fees because credit card companies, banks, they make money off of interest and they make money off of fees. If I am a crypto person that uses crypto regularly, because I don't have to worry about transaction fees, especially peer-to-peer. If I'm paying you, you're paying me, I can use my crypto wallet, and all I got to be concerned about is the value of that crypto at the time of doing the transaction. That's the only thing I got to be worried about. I ain't got to be worried about banks, fees, all that stuff. With this being integrated into Apple Pay, which uses debit cards, credit cards, banks, how does Apple Pay or the Coinbase, how do they handle the transaction fees? Are they eliminated? Is it eliminated if you're, pulling money from your debit card or your bank account into your wallet to make the transaction? I'm assuming that's the way. But again, you are with Apple Pay, to me, again, I could be totally wrong because I haven't done the research. To me, it seems like you're adding the banks, you're adding the people back into the mix when you were trying to get them out in the first place by using crypto.
Yeah. So in this article on 9to5Mac, they do have a video link to YouTube to showing with Coinbase, showing how this actually works. And, that's basically what it is. You go into the, Coinbase app, you go to buy it and you select Apple Pay, and then the typical Apple Pay window comes up. You can choose whether you want to do it from your credit card, do it from your debit card, whatever the case may be. You do the double click on the side and voila. And it looks like it uses that. So I think to your point, it is adding the banks in, but I think the convenience of being able to use a secure payment that's already within Apple, I think that is probably going to be intriguing to some people, especially people who are heavy into it and buy a lot of crypto. Invest in a lot of crypto through this process. It may make it a little bit easier. So like I said, it just came out on Monday. So I'm sure as people begin to use it, we'll start to see some feedback from how people use it, if they like it, or if they're just going to go back to their normal way of purchasing. And in this article, it doesn't say if Apple worked directly with Coinbase to get this done, or if it was any type of, with the two companies working together, or if it was just, they have the API and Coinbase, like, hey, we're just going to implement this based on what the current API is. It doesn't really state in this article how that worked. And they specifically said, they can't say for sure if Apple worked directly with them. You could potentially assume that because Tim Cook is so, he said himself that he is into crypto, but you just never know. Him personally being a crypto investor does not necessarily equate to Apple being a crypto investor. But I thought it was very an interesting concept because, again, there's some new crypto out there, I think. I'm not heavily into it, but I've seen people kind of posting about, things skyrocketing and all these things and buying more and more and more. And it's one of those things where it really has, definitely taken off. It's become more, meaning using crypto, buying crypto has become more integrated into our society. So Coinbase is one of the bigger companies into crypto. So I'm thinking if Coinbase is getting in on that, then some of the other wallets or crypto brokers will potentially jump on board as well. So again, it's one of those things where we'll just see how this works out and if people are really into it. So that's going to wrap up the lowdown. We're going to head on over into Second String where we talk all other tech. I saw this and I do want to talk about it, but I think I have larger concerns because I'm not sure how this has worked. So Meta, aka formerly Facebook, wants to use nuclear power for its data center. So Meta's confirmed that it plans to use nuclear power to fuel U.S. data centers. As you can imagine, to mine this data, to run these data centers, it takes a huge amount of power to keep everything online and up and working at full capacity. And a lot of these things are on HPCs and just like churning. And so it appears that nuclear power is a way to fuel this that is going to give them the efficiency and the usage that they expect. The company announced that it's accepting proposals from nuclear engineer developers to work on this project with the goal of adding between 1 and 4 gigawatts of nuclear energy capacity. Those words put together, okay. I never heard of them. But yeah, 1 to 4 gigawatts of nuclear energy capacity starting early 2023. And I'll have to put the link. I thought it was in here. According to Google Finance, this type of plant will be put in Louisiana. So I get the need for companies who are powering these huge data centers to need this type of power. But my concern, I'm a scientist, not on this front, but this kind of sounds like it could be like, could it have like potential health issues? Because running these data centers with nuclear power in these communities, unless it's like way out in the boonies somewhere where there aren't a lot of people around, but then you have, trees and lakes and rivers and streams and all these other living organisms. I don't know. Could this like not be, helpful to people's health? I know Louisiana in particular already has some issues when it relates to like power stuff with people getting sick and all these types of things. But this sounds like this could be a problem.
Nuclear power is only a problem if the nuclear power plant malfunctions, which is why we are scared of it because of Chernobyl. When Chernobyl went up, it pretty much damaged that area for decades. But that was decades ago. Technology has advanced, and nuclear energy is clean. It is cleaner than some of the other ways we produce energy
Okay.
because it doesn't produce carbon dioxide. Again, this ain't my area of expertise, but I have saw or have learned that companies are really trying to slowly reintroduce nuclear power back into the conversation because it is clean and it doesn't have those environmental impacts as some of the ways we currently produce energy, with the exception of solar power and maybe wind power. But even those, there's, give and take because
Yeah.
there isn't a large amount of available energy that wind and solar produces. It kind of like, it's a slow build, right? Versus nuclear energy. Once you fire up them power plants, boom, you've got all that energy right then and there, right? So companies, governments are slowly trying to reintroduce nuclear energy back into the conversation in the hopes that the generations who were affected by some of this are gone, right?
They've died out.
Yeah,
If they don't know.
And the bad mojo around nuclear energy is gone. Then they can say, all right, and then especially for Meta for Meta companies like Meta to have that conversation, that to us is like, oh, if I want Facebook to keep running, or if I want Instagram to keep running, or if I want Threads or WhatsApp or MetaQuest and all the different all the different subsidiaries of Meta. If we want those to run better and we want to stay on Facebook and we want to make sure we are influencers, then okay, well then that makes sense. I want social media to keep running. Let's have this conversation about nuclear energy versus using nuclear energy for anything else. Everybody else, like you, are like, I don't know, but maybe our addiction to social media may be the catalyst to have us talk about nuclear energy. Again, I personally don't have any problems with it, but you ain't gonna catch me living near one because when it goes
Just
bad,
in case.
when it goes bad, it goes terrible.
Yeah.
Unlike some of these other ones to where we're not seeing the damaging effects until generations later. Nuclear power, that ain't the case. It works and it works perfectly until it don't. And then it don't. You gotta hightail it out of there and don't come back, right? So that's the only thing my concern is. It's like if new technology can make it more stable, can reduce the impact if something goes wrong, because we really haven't touched it because of the bad mojo around nuclear power. Things have changed, maybe.
And I hope so, because like I said, it looks like it's happening. Meta is going to, like I said, from Yahoo Finance, Meta is investing $10 billion in Louisiana for this data center. And again, not just to, we always like to beat up on Facebook, but it's not just Facebook who is looking to use nuclear power. Google recently announced a deal to build multiple reactors here stateside. With this thing, a goal of adding 500 megawatts of nuclear power. So Google is thinking about adding 5 megawatts while Meta is 1 to 4 gigawatts.
But you got to be careful because it's in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Louisiana ain't one of the states we think about when we think about the United States of America. I'm just going to keep it 100, right?
Yeah.
Now, everybody is
Not the most
with
stable.
Everybody is with nuclear power when it's off in some state we don't care about. Now, the question is going to be when they start to have these things or have the conversations about putting these things in one of the states that we do care about. Then we'll see if people are with it or not. Right now, everybody's like, oh, cool, because it's in Louisiana. Nobody cares, right? With the exception of New Orleans. New
Right.
Orleans really ain't Louisiana. It's like New Orleans is New Orleans.
Its own
and then
entity.
everything else
It's
is
Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how the conversation goes when we start, if they start doing this and want to put them in more of these populous areas, or, popular areas, I should say.
Yeah. Microsoft also wants to said that they want to revive the 3 Mile nuclear island plant. The 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Mm-hmm. And guess where this is? It's in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So they're cool. See. As long as it's not near Philly, people might be all right. It's like, hey, it's kind of out there. Not near things that we care about. So again, I say that to say that Meta isn't the only big tech company who is looking into nuclear power. Google, Microsoft, and I'm sure some others are as well. But again, I'm going to take your word, kind of the thought, the logic that you have behind it is, the slowly introducing. Because like you said, when I see nuclear power, I think, boom. Mm-hmm. And like, oh my God, we're going to have kids with 4 arms,
3 legs,
mm-hmm. An extra ear in the forehead, those type of things. That's where my mind goes. And if they've been able to clean up the technology and improve it, then hey, that's great. And like you said, it works until it doesn't. And yeah, okay. I don't know what's going on. My Apple Watch is doing something weird. So I guess again, another of those things, well, time will tell. We'll see how this works out. And again, I would not want to live in one of those states where they have one of these things. Please don't bring that here to Georgia. We got enough problems. We don't need those two. We still trying to figure out what happened with the chlorine explosion. Nobody's talking about that. So let's not bring any other irritants down here to the Peach State. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for Second String. Let's head on over into For the Culture, where we talk about what's going on around us. I actually had this article to talk about in Second String, and then I saw the data center nuclear power story. So I was like, you know what? This actually could go in For the Culture. So Amazon is being sued for alleged Prime delivery disparities in 2 majority Black DC neighborhoods. So the Attorney General of DC, Brian Schwab, is suing Amazon for what he says is excluding certain zip codes from enjoying Amazon Prime's speedy delivery. He's saying back in 2022, Amazon stopped using its in-house delivery systems for wards 7 and 8 while still charging those customers the same amount for Prime subscription.
And that's the important part.
Yeah, they aren't getting Amazon deliveries from Amazon. It's through a third party.
Well, and not only that,
they're being paid, they're not really getting the benefit of Prime, but they're still paying for Prime.
Right, because with Prime, you're supposed to get it in a day or 2. Right. If you're not using Amazon Prime trucks and you're using USPS, mm-hmm. you get it whenever they say you're going to get it, which may not be 1 day or 2 days, which what's the point if I'm paying for 1 day or 2 days?
I might as well just do it regular Amazon. Right.
Right.
And so according to this article, Ward 7 and Ward 8 are 83 and 82% Black respectively. So like you said, in this suit, it's saying that instead of Amazon using Amazon Prime trucks, they relied on UPS and USPS, which is the regular post office, to make these deliveries. And this lawsuit is saying a decision that resulted in longer delivery times, obviously because you're not using Prime trucks. So he says that only 24% of the packages to these wards were delivered within 2 days. And he's also alleging that Amazon did not notify anybody in these 2 zip codes, wards 7 and 8, about these changes. So one, they are paying for Prime, but they aren't getting Prime deliveries. They're getting deliveries that are delayed than what they should be getting. And only 24% of the packages were delivered in the quote unquote Prime delivery times. So, why is this in for the culture? It's interesting that this seems to be happening in Black communities. And this isn't the first time that Amazon has been sued for this. It also happened in Boston's Roxbury neighborhood, Chicago's South Side, and in the Bronx. So it's basically saying, hey, it seems very interesting that you're taking this approach, but only in predominantly Black, predominantly urban neighborhoods.
So here's the thing. My guess as to why Amazon is doing it this way. My guess, again, this is just a guess. My speculation is that Amazon trucks give off a different, what's the word?
It's recognizable.
A different attention than a mail truck and a UPS truck. When people see an Amazon truck, they think gadgets, they think electronics, they think technology. That's the stuff that if we steal it, rob it, take it, we're going to get the most money versus following a UPS truck. Who knows? It could be a mattress, right? People order mattresses on Amazon, right? People order lotion on Amazon all the time. But when you think Amazon, you think gadgets, you think electronics, you think technology. That stuff can get more money. So, again, total speculation, total guess. But Amazon is like, all right, we want to limit the attention that our packages are drawing specifically in these areas, because I'm pretty sure Amazon has ran the numbers, got stats, and say these are the trucks that's getting robbed more, right? Let's just put it out there. So Amazon's like, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to disguise our Amazon packages and put them in regular post office and put them in regular UPS. That way, you know, we can maybe see a reduction in the theft and whatever the case may be, right? Again, from a straight stats point, I could see that being the case. Again, the problem with that is people in these areas are still paying for the service that you claim that you are providing them, but you are not. Now, if you're going to do the stats and make it a straight, it doesn't matter about color. It just so happens that the trucks that are getting, you know, robbed are in these areas, and it just so happen Black minority people live in these areas. What you should then do is, all right, have a different tier or give them a credit or whatever the case may be, and say, hey, because of these reasons, you can't get your package according to when we say we were. So we're going to either A, charge you less, or give you a credit on your Amazon Prime. Boom. Wash your hands, do what you need to do. But no, greedy companies.
Because it's not like Amazon don't have the money.
Like to take advantage of people and want to get the most amount of money and promote and offer the lowest amount of service. And they figure, oh, we can do it in these neighborhoods because they don't care. And that's not how you should do it. You should be straight up with the areas, with these neighborhoods, and say, hey, we've been experiencing problems with this, that, and the third. We're trying to, navigate the issue by doing this, that, and the third. And as a result, since we can't offer you the service that we said, we're going to do this, that, and the third. They're not doing that, so they should have their pants sued off of them. They should be sued for all the money. They should be labeled discriminatory. They should be labeled racist because you didn't do right by the people. Do right. All we ask is if you do right. And you can't do right, and you got all these reasons why. Yeah. And you got all these reasons why. And it's like, all right, well, just if you come clean, we may be like, all right, if that's what it is, we get it. We respect it. We game recognized game. Give me
but
my
don't
money
charge
back.
me.
Right. Give me my money back.
Or don't offer the service. If you can make these changes specifically to a zip code, you cannot offer Amazon Prime to this zip code. When people sign up for Amazon Prime, they give you their address. And if someone has address, if you don't want to do this, put a little thing at the top that says, hey, at this time, due to item
whatever.
1, 2, and 3, we cannot offer Amazon Prime in your location. So Amazon saw this article from Engadget, and they said they did this long statement. It starts off with the claims made by the Attorney General that our business practices are somehow discriminatory or deceptive are categorically false. So, similar to what you said in this long diatribe, they say we have to put, why we want to be able to deliver, blah, 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 to every zip code across the country, blah, 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 blah. However, this is straight from the, this part is straight from the statement. However, at the same time, we must put the safety of delivery drivers first. In the zip codes in question, there have been specific and targeted acts against drivers delivering Amazon packages. We made the deliberate choice to adjust our operations, including delivery routes and time, for the sole reason of protecting the safety of drivers. Hey, we get it. That's fine. It's your business. You have the right to do that. And it says we are always transparent with customers during the shopping journey and the checkout process about when exactly they can expect their order to arrive. The key word is expect, but you can't control the post office. You can't control UPS. Hell is paved with the road of good intentions. You can intend something good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that intention serves people. Intention does not negate impact. And what they're also saying in this article is that they've basically offered to work with the Attorney General to reduce crime and improve safety in these areas.
Nah, man.
But that don't mean
money back.
No, give the people the money back. How are you, Amazon, a company, going to work with a local municipality to reduce crime?
Shut up. Just give my money back.
And improve safety. And then after they go on and say, we want to, work together, it says, it ends with saying, nevertheless, we will proceed in the process and demonstrate that providing fast and accurate delivery times and prioritizing the safety of customers and delivery partners are not mutually exclusive. So they basically said, so we did this, and we know we did this, but we got to put our driver safety first. Hey, we're not going to give people their money back, but we'll work with you to reduce crime. But listen, we're still going to continue doing this. That's what I got from this statement. Yep, we are discriminatory. We know it, but we have good reason. Let's work with you to help you fix your city problems. But at the same time, we're still going to continue to be discriminatory and deceptive.
Yep. Again, they deserve everything they get as a result of this, because what you're doing is being greedy over race, over sex, over whatever the case may be. You are choosing to be greedy, so you get whatever is coming to you. If you being greedy means that you are discriminatory, you're being prejudiced, you are treating different neighborhoods different, you deserve everything you're gonna get, because you are not doing right by those people in their pockets. If I am paying you for a service, you tell me you're going to provide the service, and then you don't, give me my money back.
Give me my money back.
Flat
Again, it's easy to exclude these zip codes. If you can, like I said, if you can change the route or who delivers to them, you can most definitely put a warning and say, hey, we can't offer you this service.
Or when UPS or post office delays one of the packages, there should be an automatic credit, not of all the money. I ain't saying give them all the money back, but whatever the calculation, the equation is. Give me, whatever. But just
put a
don't
little
be
something
like,
on it.
Just don't be like, what are you going to do?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. Lame. And like you said, they got the data, and basically they got Amazon saying, yeah, you are correct. So, yeah, whatever fines they get, I hope it goes to actually help the people that are in these zip codes, not just in DC, but nationwide. So again, we'll see. All right, that is going to wrap up for the culture. Let's head on over into the hookup. I actually have on this one, and it came out of a question that I got from a friend. So we're at the end of the year, and people are trying to clean up their devices, get rid of clutter and all that stuff. So a friend of mine said, hey, do you know of an app that removes duplicate pictures and videos? And I was like, I don't personally use an app. I'm sure they're out there, but I was like, you don't necessarily need it. So my tech tip of the week is, if you go into your Photos app, if you're an iPhone user, and you scroll down to, if you are using iOS 18, you can scroll down to utilities, and there's a folder called duplicates. If you're not on iOS 18, if you're on something earlier, you can go to the photo apps, still pretty much the same thing. Go to the photo app, go to the tap on the albums, because again, photo apps is a little different between iOS 17 and iOS 18. You go to the albums, you click on duplicates, and this is where you will have a list of all of the images that you have a duplicate of. You can either merge the multiple duplicates and have one file and keep it, or you can do basically a select all and mass delete them. So it's up to you, and it's an easy, natively built-in way to handle duplicates of images and videos on your iPhone.
Look at that. Everybody's complaining about the Photos app, but nobody wants to promote the good things.
The good things.
Again, this is one thing you can use without a separate app. There are a bunch of different apps out there that can do it. Or use the one that's free, or the one that you paid for when you bought the phone.
Right. Already there. Just scroll down. That is going to wrap up the show for this week. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BrothaTech.
And you can find me, Tech Savvy Diva, pretty much everywhere on the internet. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. Before we get out, we definitely want you to be able to connect, to comment, to share, to support our show. You can head on over to snobwestcast.com to find out our socials, the link to our Discord, where you can listen to the show and where you can watch the show, and all of those other details. So with that being said, until next week, we'll see you guys.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.